understanding you can't control everything, but control the things you can control. We got a sign in our locker room that says, do your job. And, to me, if we get everyone on the same page, coaches, players, and we're doing our singular job, it's going to be a great thing for our program.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Another edition of Unwired Appalachia podcast. Another special guest, Coach Melvin from Paintsville. Welcome back, Coach. We did this last year. Just kind of, I guess before we get into it, just kind of, how do you think year one went? I mean, just an overview because you got off to that really good start and season didn't end the way you wanted to, I'm sure, but a lot of positives, I'd imagine, to grow on.
Year one had it was a roller coaster, ups and downs. And, a lot of people don't know we lost 5 quarters of football. We had weather delays. We had games canceled because of weather. Halftime at West Carter, we're walking through the gate, going back on the field, transformer blows, lights go out. And, so a lot of roller coasters, a learning experience for myself, my staff, my kids. We're just trying to learn to get over the hump because I felt like that there were times we played really good football last year,
Mm.
and there'd be a segment in the game where we would kind of lose our mind. Something would go wrong, and we'd lose it for a minute, and we'd try to claw back. I mean, Hazard game we did it, the Martin County game we did it. I mean, so it was a roller coaster. It was a learning experience for everyone.
Yeah, but I guess one of the positive things, I don't think you had a huge senior class last year that I remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it was too big, so you got a lot of faces back. How big is that in year two? Because they don't have to learn you and what you expect now.
Yeah.
They know it, you know them. It's probably not a whole lot of turnover, probably a few new faces in places, but a lot of the same kids back in the same places.
So we graduated 6 last year, and of those 6, the 3 of them were all offensive line. So it's hard to replace those
Well,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard to replace those guys. The other 3 played meaningful minutes for us, but, our core's still there. When you get kids like Anderson, Colton, Parker, Brody, those guys are there. They know the system now. It's their turn to lead. They're the seniors. It's their last go around. So hopefully they got a bigger emphasis on how important it is.
Yeah, and those kids, you look at their numbers. A lot of those skill guys that you got come back put up impressive numbers. I mean, offensively, especially starting on offense. Just talk about what a luxury it is having some of those guys back because at any play, you got a kid like Anderson, he could catch a touchdown, or you got a Brody Howe, he could take one to the house. I mean, so many guys. It seems like it's not just one or two guys on your guys offense, but it seems like a pretty good collective
Yeah.
all the way around.
Well, the good Lord blessed me when I took this job to have a great group of talented young men, and just putting them in the puzzle pieces together. I mean, Parker last year, we were talking last year, he had never taken a snap at quarterback, and it was a big question for us whether he could handle that. And, I think he threw for like 1,600 yards and 15 TDs and managed that offense. And, he's a smart kid, so we knew he could do it. It's just how the bullets were flying at him, how he handled it. You take Cole Short, Anderson Lawfer, and you can flip the ball out to them and get them in space and let them do what they do best and run and be physical out there in the blocking game. And then obviously Brody Howe at the inside linebacker, running back, he's a downhill runner, and our defense rallies around Brody. So, I mean, like I said, I was blessed to have a great group when I walked in day one. And this year going in, they're not having to learn the coaching staff, the system. It's just we've picked up and went straight into football. I mean, in June we were in t-shirts but we were playing 11 on 11 tag football. So, I mean, it was a good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned you lost the 3 offensive linemen, which, is huge for any class. The 3 starting linemen, I mean, that's huge. Any school, any class, anything like that. Just talk about the guys that you got coming in to replace those 3 guys, and what they're doing, working. I'm sure you got a bunch of guys working hard to try to step up and feel it, make a name for them their own selves, I guess.
Yeah, so after the season last year, we only took about a month off.
Mhm.
We got beat out in the first round of the playoffs. We started weights the week of the state championship. I mean, we want to be playing there anyway, so we wanted to learn to work in that week. And then we grinded all the way through, all the way up to spring ball. and now into summer ball. But you got guys like William Lawfer, Carter Lawfer. We've had young kids step up like Caden Spears, Mason Bussey, Jackson Borders. So we've got the pieces. Now it's just putting them in the right places. Uh, they have worked tremendously hard. I have taken a bigger role in the offensive line this year. So through the spring, I mean, it was daily grinding, whether we were in practice or just doing some extra work on their own. We really have worked on honing our craft of, that first step, the punch, and all the things that go along with being an offensive lineman.
Yeah, and last thing before we move on to the defense, just kind of talk about, you got several guys, and Anderson's one of them, but there's several. It seems like you can put them on the field at any spot out there, and they can be a threat. They can run the ball, they can catch it, they can do a lot of different things. Very explosive. Just talk about having multiple guys like that.
Yeah.
It makes it tough on the opposing defense because they never know who's going to get it and where it's coming from, whether you're going to pass or
Yeah.
you're going to run. I mean, I think that's makes your guys' offense very unique.
Well, I mean, you look at last year in run game one, when, we had some struggles there in the past game. We bumped Anderson to the backfield and he rushed for some 200 some yards against Floyd Central. Next week, we're throwing 5 touchdowns. I mean, so it's a very versatile offense. We've added a few kids. Some kids have enrolled. I mean, we got a kid from McGough County named Colton Reisner that is going to be a huge asset for us. And then you never know where the ball's going to be. I mean, because you can spread it out. I mean, you give it to Shorts, you give it to Lawfer. Helton's going to carry it some this year, and I mean, it's kind of dealer's choice. And my offense coordinator, he's got it made. It's who do I want to touch this time, right?
Yeah, that's that. I always think that makes offenses fun. It makes it for the kids fun. It makes it for everybody just fun to watch. But moving on to defense, you got a lot of guys back there too. I mean, when you don't lose a ton, I mean, just talk about this defense this year because at times last year that year all's defense was very good, very stingy. Just talking about the defense this year overall, I guess to start out.
Well, you look back and for the team we put on the field last year, I think returning we lose a defense, 2 defensive ends, and an outside linebacker that was off there. And we've had guys step up and already in those places. And we talked last year about being aggressive and being downhill and taking the ball away and 11 hats to the football. And you know that's what we built it on. You talked when Coach Jericho was here. That was what Paintsville is known for.
Yeah.
And we're slowly trying to get back to being that aggressive defense that comes at you. Uh, we're multiple. We're going to be in different fronts, depending on opponent, different fronts on, downs. I mean, we could be in a 3 front and 1 down and be in a 4 front the next. And that's the beauty of the way we've built this scheme.
Yeah, and I think your scheme kind of is multiple, but if you look at your schedule, especially last year, and I know that you'll have a lot of similar guys. It probably plays into that because one week you might play a running team, next week you might play a pass. Just talk about being able to stop teams who primarily run, primarily pass, because nowadays you just never know in Eastern Kentucky football. I mean, you see more and more teams who go into the passing game, but you still got your traditional teams who still want to run it every play.
Yeah, I mean, it's all based on opponents. I mean, that same cast we talked about on offense, Anderson, Colton, Parker,
Mhm.
all those guys, they flip over and play defense. It's 1A football.
Yeah,
So the secondary is really good. I mean,
yeah.
there was times we struggled last year just learning scheme, but their ability to play man to man at some points and letting the front handle the run game, it just kind of helps us to be more aggressive in the box and knowing that we got guys in the back end that can handle the uh the pass game. So, I think our schedule this year's changed, but we've changed 2 games and but we're still gonna see spread offense majority of the time. So
Yeah. Yeah, and just, from last year to this year, just talk about some of the depth because it seems like you should have a little bit more depth coming in because last year maybe some of the guys had to learn on the fly, you know. Now this year, a lot of these guys who maybe didn't have a lot of experience probably have a little bit more experience. And then you got your guys who play two-way who are going to see might get the rest some of these guys a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
just kind of talk about the depth because in Class A, depth I think is always an issue, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I mean, depth and injury prevention
Mm,
is, I mean, you got to have those 2 things to make us successful running 1A.
yeah.
Depth wise, I mean, now we have some freedom. We're not playing Anderson on kickoff, Anderson here, Anderson there. We can pull him off the field, get him a blow. Uh, we can rotate in. We got a freshman quarterback that can come in and play some running back, or we can bring a thumper in, and
Mhm.
we have a kid that enrolled named Ryan Combs that's taking some snaps at running back, and then we've got some D line help. Brendan Daniels from Johnson Central moved over to Paintsville, so it's depth is important, and we're definitely building it.
Yeah, and just kind of now, I guess we go into the season. You think it's so far away right now, but week one's creeping up quickly. You start putting the pads on; it's here before you know it. Just talk about from now to week one how you get these guys prepared, because I'm sure in a week or two they'll probably be sick of each other and be ready to get out there and start hitting somebody else.
So we actually started on July 13th. When 10th with that period ending was on a Friday. I still had guys that were on vacation and stuff. So we started on 13th, and we've had 1 day off since then. We played 7-on-7 last Friday in the Montgomery County tournament, and then Saturday at EKU. As we go forward, we're gonna practice tonight, and then we're gonna come back on Monday, and we leave for camp on Friday. We go to Camp Caleb in the Johnson Lawrence County border. We're gonna spend 4 days out in the woods just getting after each other, and it's a great team bonding. But we're gonna get a ton of work done in there, and then we're at scrimmage one right there. And,
Mhm.
as I was coming up, we were talking to Anderson and Colton about just how quick that's going to be here, and uh, everything has to be intentional
Mhm.
from here on out. What we do in practice, the way we take our snaps, the way our techniques, it has to be intentional because we don't have time. We gotta be ready to go. Well, it's less than 30 days now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said something there that is very interesting, the team bonding in camp and how important that is, but you're still doing work. But
Mm.
just talk about how big it is that these guys can have some fun while they're working and improving, but also getting to know each other, maybe creating new relationships, but because they got to rely on each other on the field. I mean, is that what it's about to you with camps?
So yeah, camp for us is a lot of team. I mean, we could practice at our facility, probably have a better surface, better
Mhm,
equipment. But
mhm,
for us going out to camp, I don't let them take any technology. So their cell phones are staying at home. It's basically 4 days of them being around each other, getting to know a teammate they may not know. We do some fun things. Camp Caleb has this big lake, has like water attractions in it, so
mhm,
they're
mhm,
jumping off the top of a tube or whatever, and it's a really fun experience.
mhm.
I think last year we ended up doing a night tag in the middle of the woods, like at 10 o'clock at night. It was pretty cool. So, it's a good time. They're housed in 2 cabins, so we kinda divide the team up evenly. So you get, 20 guys in this cabin that are just spending all their time together, and 20 guys in this cabin, and then we come together and scrimmage the last day, and so it's cabin 1 versus cabin 2.
Mhm.
So you get a kinda a good mix and see what you got, and I think if you were to ask our players that they enjoy camp tremendously.
Yeah, I think things like that are huge, especially before the season starts. But speaking of the season, last year you got off to a quick start. This year, maybe a little few different opponents here and there, but just I think week one you open up with Floyd Central. Just kind of talk about the season if you can. I mean, because it'll be here before you know it. I know it's hard to look down at the season at this point,
Yeah.
but well, that's what we're here for. We're here for the season preview,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for the season, going into it is, uh, I feel a little bit better going into this season than I did last year, just because we've had that experience. We've got to see what it's like to be coached by our staff and having the scheme. And, I'm not circling a game. There's no opponent that I'm really like, oh, well, we want to win that one. I want to go 1-0.
Mhm.
And, last year we got off to a really hot start. And, we build off that. And then we ran into some stumbling blocks along the way. I mean, you play teams like Russell. I mean, you go play Pikeville Hazard. I mean, we were competitive in every game, I felt like last year. Now it's just for us to take the next step.
Mhm.
When I told our principal last year in the middle of the season, we're going to win a game that we're not supposed to soon.
Mhm.
And when we do, that confidence is going to come along. But,
Yes.
you know, for me, putting a good product on the field, being able to line up correctly, I grew as a coach around Coach Jericho, and it's the next play and worry about that. And but so we're not looking down the road. We're trying to win one at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know district plays huge. It's for every school. That's a given, right? But how do you put your other schedule around? Because now with RPIs being so important and this and that, like, what's your philosophy on making schedules? Because you still want to get tests,
Yeah.
but you don't want to play cupcakes. So you want to get tested, but you want to be in games that you can win. And you want to be prepared for district and playoffs. Just kind of talk about how you prepare your schedule.
Well, I mean, I feel like that iron sharpens iron. So,
Mhm.
I want to be battle tested because it comes playoffs. I mean, I want to be able to say, we've been down in the fourth quarter. Let's go win a ball game. We've blown someone out, hopefully,
Uh-uh.
and we've been in that spot where we're on both ends of the spectrum of where we can be in a game. And so, for me, scheduling, we changed the schedule this year coming in. We are no longer in the GRC Bowl, playing Bath County. We brought Newport Central Catholic, a powerhouse in 1A. They're coming to Paintsville. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Our first home game, and then later on the season, the Ridgeview, Virginia game. We've changed that one, and now we're going to Paris. And so I think a measuring stick, I mean, we play 1A football. So
Yeah.
if we're playing 1A opponents, that's a good measuring stick to where we're at. So that's kind of where I look at RPI is important because we all know that round three, that's how you're going to be seeded. Next year, it's going to be in round two. And so RPI's opponent is important. But I think if you take care of the wins, and you're playing in your kind of your 1As, 2As, and we should be playing 4A, 5A, 6A schools just because of the roster size and
Yes.
the what we talked about earlier, injury prevention and all that. I mean, we lose a kid in a 4A game that doesn't really mean anything, and then
And you
now
penalize yourself
yeah,
down the road, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and, just kinda talk about the district because, I mean, everybody talks about that you wanna win all but you're in only 3 teams, but it probably still the toughest district in Class A, I always say, even though it's probably 3 teams. Just talk about that district play because, those 2 games, you're gonna get tested. You talked about that, and usually all 3 of you are in the mix somewhere in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a shame that you got three great programs that have to battle each other
Mhm.
and get seeded out based off of that. But at the end of the day, would you really want it any other way? I mean, but you want to know how good you are. Let's go play the best, right? And Hazard and Pikeville are top notch programs. Coach Mack, I told you last year, he does an excellent job. And, I've got to know Coach Mack a little bit more. And, I have nothing but respect for him. And now we're getting a wild card. We got Coach Amos coming in at Hazard. And, I know kinda he's gonna spread it out. We saw him at EKU in 7-on-7 and got John DeRosa joining that staff. So, I mean, it's 1A football at its best, and, there's a reason I feel like for the last 10 years, the East has dominated because Mountain 1A football is the best in the state as far as I mean, the West plays a little different game than we do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's you hinted at it. The West plays a different game. I always say the teams, mostly the kids, a little bit more tough nosed. They like playing that different style. They like beating you up on the line of scrimmage. They like beating you up in the field. Just talk about how big toughness is for your guys and how do you get that message across stuff. If you're tougher than the guy across you, you're gonna have a chance to win more than likely,
Yeah.
each game. So just kinda talk about, how you see that and what Eastern Kentucky toughness, football means to your program.
Well, there's something special about playing mountain football. I mean, I think if you look at the premier programs, I mean, they all have hung their hat on being from the hills and being just,
Mhm.
blue collar kids that want to go to work. And that for me, toughness starts in practice. I mean, we got onto our kids, bring your effort. All you can control is your effort and your attitude. And that's something, if you set that at a high level,
Mhm.
everything else is going to follow. So, you know, practice, we make it tough. We full contact practice. Well, we'll start in August, but
Mhm.
once August gets here, we'll be in full contact. We're going to tackle you to the ground because you can't play this game half hearted and expect to be good on a Friday night.
Mhm. Yeah, and, I don't like talking about wins and losses, but, Paintsville, I know you guys expect to win every game or have a chance to win every game. At the end of the year, by year 2, what do I know you wanna be in Lexington, that's the ultimate goal, but taking that away, what do you wanna see from this team? What do you wanna accomplish year 2? And I'm just saying no wins, no losses. What do you wanna see from these guys year 2? And is it just taking the next step, just, competing every down? What do you wanna get out of from your team this year, I guess?
Ultimately, for me, I really look at what kind of young men we're creating, what kind of members of society that our players are going to go out and be. And, that's a big judgment. Everybody gets caught in wins and losses and all that. But I don't think if you're taking that aspect of it serious and you're focused just purely on football. So it's a lot of life lessons. But as far as on the field, I think we look to make the next step. I mean,
Mhm.
you finished 5-6 last year, get beat out in the first round of the playoffs, which, that again, we talk about ups and downs of roller coasters. We go to Williamsburg, get rained out, have to get in a hotel,
Yeah.
go play on a Sunday. I mean, it was just complete roller coaster. But the next step is finish a game. You're right there in the driver's seat, or you're competing and letting that moment in the game kind of where you lose it for a second and then you get it back, get that out of our system. And then, obviously the record, we want we want to change it.
Mhm.
No one wants to be under 500, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be competitive in every game. I'd love to host a home playoff game, but uh competitive and taking the next step for us is important.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be the last question, but I got one more. You said something that triggered. Last year you talked about the ups and the downs and stuff that you can't control. What does that do for a program in year 2? Because you've seen a lot of crazy stuff last year. Is anything gonna be shocking these guys now? Anything gonna shock you? Because you all had so many of them last year. I think you've
Well, I
seen a
hope
lot.
we don't have anything come out of us. I mean, like I said, lightning and all the things that we battled last year, but I think it shows the kids that you have to fight through the adversity. It's going to come and understand the weather, the storm, and do the things you need to do. And you've been there. You've seen pretty much anything that could come at you. I mean, we went out to warm up last year against Eminence 3 times,
Mhm.
and it. How do you get them going up when they go out back down the roller coaster that happens there? And I mean, I think that's the maturity level of growing as a program, taking this next step is understanding you can't control everything, but control the things you can control. We got a sign in our locker room that says, do your job. And, to me, if we get everyone on the same page, coaches, players, and we're doing our singular job, it's going to be a great thing for our program.